Hello there. Welcome again to my living room, to my studio, the room where I do most of my living, creating. My name is Boaz, and I've spent the last 40 years building what I call a creative life. The conversation that I want to have with you today is about being interesting. We all want to be interesting. Now, why do we want to be interesting? Because interesting is sexy. Interesting is good. Interesting is something that attracts people. It is attractive. People want to be with interesting people. People want to be around interesting people because interesting people do interesting things. If you are around interesting people, you will have a more interesting life, and that means usually a more fun life. Now, it's true that when it comes to creative people, sometimes interesting is translated to destructive and horrible. I have to admit, I have been there, I have done that. I have stirred the pot a couple of times just to see what happens. I have said things that I shouldn't say just to see what other people will say, how they will react, because I was bored. I am not usually bored, but sometimes I get bored, and when I got bored as a younger person, one of the ways to ease this boredom, to make things interesting, is to cause some havoc, is to cause some trouble, to do something that is not expected, to do something that is not ordinary, to do something that is not socially acceptable. That is one way of making things interesting. This is why you see so many drama queens out there doing incredibly stupid things just to see what happens. People who are bored are urged to break this boredom by doing anything. People who are smart and bored ease this boredom by doing something that is valuable. But that is rare. Most of the time, people just, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know how to describe it. But it really is the realm of the drama queens. Being offended by everything, being angry, arguing, shouting. Why this? Why that? How could you? Tada, tadi, tada. It is all just a big game, a big, okay, I want something to make my blood boil. I want something to throw me out of this boring trajectory of my life and do something that is. This is not where the wise person goes when he wants to be interesting. Wise people break their boredom by doing something, creating, planning, working, even just spending time with your loved ones, with your family, with your friends, with everybody that makes your life better, that makes your life worthy. But I have learned one trick, one tip of how to be interesting. Now, as you know, I'm not for shortcuts. I don't believe in tips and tricks. How to do this, how to do that. This is why I always say that these videos are not how to do videos. These are not tutorials. I'm just talking to the camera. Sorry, I'm just talking to you. The fact that there is a camera between us is irrelevant. So here is the tip that I can give you for being interesting. Be interested. If you want to be interesting, be interested. If you show interest in other people, you will be interesting to them. If you show interest in a subject, in a hobby, in a profession, in anything, you will automatically be more interesting. When I was a bit younger and a bit more stupid, even more stupid than what I am today, I thought that people who have hobbies are beneath me because I didn't have hobbies. My life is one big hobby, creating. People who have a hobby like collecting something, like going around the world looking for specific things. I don't know. You might be collecting stamps. Are there any stamps? Are there any stamps these days? This is the first collection that comes to mind because as a child I did collect stamps. I was a nerd. Part of being a nerd was collecting stamps. Collecting stamps from all over the world. Seeing stamps from all over the world. Hearing about countries that I didn't know existed. I was, I don't know, 8 years old, 9 years old. Seeing, I don't know, pictures of animals, pictures of people. Collecting stamps made me more interesting because I was interested in that. There are people who are interested in music, not playing music, not making music, but are interested in music. And I don't mean this vague, vacuous thing that people say, if you ask them, do you like music? Everybody likes music. Yeah, I love music. I love music. I mean about people who are really into music, that go and do the research about their favorite musicians, that go to the magazines, to the books. I'm such a boomer. Magazines, books, where do I live? But these are the examples from my life. Now it will be opening your computer, opening your phone, looking. It's such a boring life now, where everything is accessible, where everything is easy. I really remember as a teenager, when I started playing guitar, for example, I used to go look for magazines from all over the world to read about other guitar players, to read about other guitars. I had to look for that. I had to go to friends, exchange materials with them, talk about it. The fact that I had to put energy and time into it made the whole process more valuable. I don't mean more valuable because I got more information. I did get more information. I really don't think that scrolling down a magazine site about guitars is the same thing about having the magazine in your house for 6, 7 years. And every time going back and looking at it, it really is not the same thing. I still remember some articles that I read back then and how I got introduced to these amazing musicians and, yes, also amazing guitars. Being interested in something gives you another purpose in life. A hobby? You can call it that. I think that it is just something that gives you a reason to do things, to go out, to look for things, to learn, to read, to watch more videos. I'm a bit obsessive when it comes to interesting things. Because when I find something that interests me, I usually go and deep digger and digger and digger and try to find as much information as I can, as many anecdotes, funny, interesting anecdotes, as many details about how to do, what to do, who does, who did, why did they do it, how did they do it. I love being interested. Some people say that I'm an interesting person. I think that the reason that I'm an interesting person is because I am truly interested in so many things. And I don't do it superficially. I don't mind if you're doing it superficially. Don't get me wrong. I will not be angry with you. I will not look down on you if you only spend 2 hours a week on your hobby, on your something that is interesting for you. It's better than not doing it at all. The fact that I am not normal and I like to obsess about things and go further and look and research. Again, I am not normal. Never been normal, never tried to be normal. You just be interested in things. Suddenly you will find that you have more friends, because you will find that there are many people who are interested in the same things that you are. If you are interested in medieval poetry, you will find people who are interested in medieval poetry. If you're interested in Scandinavian death metal, you will find people who are interested in Scandinavian death metal. They are out there. Suddenly, you have something in common. Suddenly, you have something to talk about. Suddenly, you have some experiences that you can share. Suddenly, you have your mini tribe. I am not a person of tribes. I don't think that tribes are bad. Humanity always survived thanks to being in tribes. I'm just, always been an outsider. I like to visit tribes. I don't like to be part of them. But finding your tribe is important. These days, the sad affair of humankind is that our tribes are political. And that means that our tribes are a lie, are manufactured by evil people who want us to be separate, who want to divide us, who like the fact that we are put into tribes, into boxes that fight each other. Divide and conquer. That's one of the oldest tricks in warfare. Divide and conquer. So I am not really into these tribes. I know when I see somebody with blue hair, she belongs to a tribe. Not the tribe that I like, but I know that it is a tribe. When I see somebody with a three-piece suit and gold cufflinks, they belong to a tribe. Not a tribe that I like, but still a tribe. People who go to a certain church, people who go to a certain kind of music concert, people who like soccer, people who like tennis. These are all mini tribes. The minute that you have something of interest that guides you, you will find your own tribe or mini tribe. You will find the people that are interested in that. Obviously, being interested needs to be active. Saying I like sports and going to the sports bar to watch the game and drink beer with other people who watch the game, okay, there is a union there. There is unity. There is something that is common for you, and you will all shout at the same time and you will all cry at the same time. But for me, that is very superficial. And it's not because I don't like watching sport. I don't like watching sport. But it's not because I don't like watching sport. It is because you are not active in it. If, on the other hand, you play football, you play tennis, I don't know, you're part of a team, you're part of an actual club, you're part of something that is active, the connection that you have is much stronger. You're not a spectator. Life is not a spectator sport. You have to participate. You have to be active. When you find the things that are interesting for you, and you participate in consuming them, in learning them, in being part of them, you will be more interesting. I've had conversations in my life with people who I truly found mind-numbingly boring. And I tried to look for something interesting there. I tried to almost torture them to give me something. Give me a small grain of interest, something that I can hold on to, something that I can have a conversation about. Because again, I have a vast camp of interests. I really love a lot of things. I am really interested in a lot of things, which means that I can have meaningful conversations with a lot of people the minute that I find our common interest. Some people are so sad that they really have no interests. They go to work in something that, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I like it. It's not too bad. I get good money. They go back home. They eat dinner, they watch an hour of TV, they fall asleep on the couch, then they move to bed, and so forth and so forth. The exciting things about their life is that once a week on the weekend they go to a restaurant to eat something, and even then it's usually the same thing. Even then it's not really interesting. And again, I don't mind going to the same restaurant every week. I've done it a couple of times. I've had my favorite restaurants where I would go, maybe not every week, but every month for a couple of years, and I would order the same thing because I loved that thing and I loved that place. But this was not the major part of my life. This was not the center of my life. Now, if you're something like me, and if you're watching this, you're probably a little bit like me, you might understand, like I do, that the more things you're interested in, the more you will be considered interesting, the more you will have access to other people. Because once you have a common interest with people, it is a connection. Try to have at least a couple of things that you are really interested in. I would suggest to have as many, but we don't all have the time or the energy or the will to do that. If you will be more interested, you will be more interesting. Interesting people are more attractive. That's all I have to say. Now, the real advice that I can give you, and you probably heard it a couple of times already, but I will repeat it every single conversation that we have, because it is the most important advice that I can give you, the most relevant advice that I can give you, and the only real advice that I can give you. As a creative person, my advice to you, from me, from my heart, is this. No matter what, keep on keeping on. I know it's hard. I know you want to quit. I know you want to give up. I really do. We're living in shitty times. We're surrounded by, not everybody, but a lot of shitty people who act in shitty ways. It will all try to break you. My advice. Please, listen to my advice. Keep on keeping on. For you and for me. For everybody. We, everybody, need you to keep on keeping on.